with a Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Married with a Business. I'm Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're Married with a Business, here to share tips and tricks and stories about what it's like to be a married couple that own and operate a business together.
Yes.
Allison, how are you doing this week?
We're doing pretty good. I have a rule in our house that you have to pick your Halloween costume by the end of the first week of school.
Yes.
So the boys picked their costumes, and I got them ordered, and I've let them wear them around the house and to, play in a little bit. I used to be really strict about that, but at the cost of these things, I want to get as much use out of them as I can.
Right.
And so our oldest son decided he wants to be Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And in the opening of that movie, the character is dancing and he's playing a Walkman because I guess he had been kidnapped in the early 80s. And so all he had was this Walkman and this one mixtape that his mom had made him.
Right.
And so our oldest son really likes that theme song, that lead song from the movie. And so we've played it on.
Come and Get Your Love by Redbone.
Yes.
Is the name of the song.
So we've played on our Alexa and stuff. So I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if he could have a Walkman?
So we were sitting on the couch the other night and you turned to me and you were holding an Amazon thing and you were like, look what I just found on Amazon. And for $20,
You can get a Walkman.
you can get a Walkman, like the old Sony, yellow Walkman.
Yeah.
So you ordered that for him. It came. I pulled out my old tape deck and hooked it up to the computer and made a mixtape of a bunch of songs, including that song from Guardians of the Galaxy and other songs that I like. And it's been awesome.
Pure joy. For an 11-year-old getting a Walkman and watching him put the tape in, first of all, was hilarious, trying to show him how to do it. And then as he hit the play button and started listening, just the joy that you could get from old-fashioned devices. All these kids want iPhones and stuff, and he's just hilarious. It's just so cool to see.
Yeah, I think what's funny about it to me is I can, aging myself here, but I remember in the 80s getting my first Walkman and listening to cassette tapes on it, and I was probably about his age, maybe a little younger.
Oh my God! And him explaining to his friends, "Oh, you don't know what a Walkman is? Come on!" It's just been hilarious.
Yeah, it's been hilarious. It's been awesome. So yeah, that's a great one. It's sometimes it's the simple things, and it was great that it was. I guess it's technically technology, but it's like 40-year-old technology.
It's almost analog technology at this point, right?
Yeah, right.
So if you want to make your kids happy and build them up and give them some new technology. Seriously, go buy them a Walkman.
Find a Walkman.
Best. It's the best.
It was great. So, Allison, this week we have another interview we're bringing to people. Super excited. Somebody's been on the show before, Michelle Woerdeman from Mind Balance Wellness Living, mbwliving.com. And she has a great topic she's talking to us about this week.
Yeah, I asked Michelle to come on because as a personal coach, one of the things she talks about a lot is journaling. And you and I have been having the discussion about journaling since we read the book Miracle Morning.
Mm-hmm.
And in Miracle Morning, one of the things they talk about is journaling and having a space to get your thoughts out, to jot down ideas. When we talk to, Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas, he talks about how every morning he journals and he tries to write down ideas every day. And I have struggled with the thought of journaling for years. I feel like I should journal and I should write down what's happening so future generations can know what happened in our life, but I don't want to do that. So I've been researching it since we read The Miracle Morning and kind of looking at how do you get started, some of the pros and cons. They talk about people who journal have it's better for their health. They have lower blood pressure. They have a better mood. They feel less stress. So I thought that this might be a good opportunity to chat with Michelle because she has a new journal out that she just put out as part of her coaching program that you can buy on Amazon. And so it was fun to have her come and answer some of our questions and talk about why she incorporates that as part of her personal coaching journey.
Yeah, so take a few minutes here and listen to Michelle Woerdeman from Mind Balance Wellness Living.
Hi, everybody. We're joined today by Michelle Woerdeman from Mind, Balance, and Wellness Living. Thank you for joining us, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back.
Yes. So we are super excited to have you here today because you're going to talk a little bit more and build on a little bit of what we talked about in previous seasons with your life coaching, but specifically talking about journaling as part of your process.
Yeah, and I'm going to be the first to admit, Michelle, for years, I've been listening to, and there's a lot of people out there that say, I've talked about Hal Elrod does Miracle Morning, and he talks about journaling, and everybody says, oh, you should journal. And for years, I've been thinking about doing it, but I don't do it. How do I get, I guess the big thing for me is, how do I get started in journaling?
You know what? I think you're totally not alone, because I've had this conversation with a lot of people. They're like, well, I just don't know what to write. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. When you think of journaling, I have to sit down for 15, 20, 30 minutes and just kind of write down. And you can simply start. So with just having a couple questions. So a lot of journals out there actually prompt you with questions just to start to get your brain going. And then you'll find sometimes you'll just start writing and getting everything that's kind of in your head out. So I think where you can start is just an easy way. Ask yourself, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, evening, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for right now? And for me, I like to do it in the morning, but answering just those 3 questions is a great place to start. And it can literally be I'm grateful for my coffee. I'm grateful my kids just went to school. It's things like that. It's nothing huge. And I think when we have the pressure on ourselves, we don't take action, like you're saying, because you hear it's such a good thing to do, but you're not doing it.
Right.
So you've said before that you've been journaling for years, kind of even going back to your little kid diary. Can you tell me about kind of your process and how you've grown and developed from that quote unquote diary to what you do now?
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun, looking back where my diary was and learning about my crushes and stuff. And it's a way to kind of get all the things that I'm thinking and feeling out on paper, right? And it's just grown over the years. It can be I use it almost as a therapeutic way of kind of being I want to get all of this stuff that's going on in my brain just out of my brain, right? And so that's where it's kind of, for me, gone from something that was fun, not that it's not fun now, but now it's more of therapy, right? And then too, you can talk about, you can write about maybe some goals that you have, and what's your intention for the day, or what did you accomplish the day, depending on when you do it. So it's more of kind of a track record. Now I look back, I have piles of journals. It's really cool to watch where I was emotionally at all these different stages of my life.
I think I've tried to journal or write journals of what's been happening. So when 50 years or 100 years from now, and I'm dead and people go back and read them. But I think that my biggest fear is I don't want to have to admit that I felt the things that I wrote down when I looking back at them. How can you get over those kind of feelings? I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to admit that I thought or said those things.
You know what? Going back and looking at them, and I think another thing to your point actually is some people are I don't want, if something happens to me or I die, I don't want people to see that. I don't want, you're saying. So it's, when I go back and look at these, I see how much I've grown in different ways. So, and then sometimes I'm I laugh at my younger self. I'm oh my God, that's what I was worried about. And so I actually have 2 journals that I have for my kids. I started journaling to each of them while I was pregnant. And it's going to be an amazing keepsake. I'm getting goosebumps. So that they can see from a parent perspective, in a mother, throughout the pregnancy, what was I doing? What was I saying to them? And then once they were born in different areas of their lives, they're actually they're keepsakes. So they're learning, so if, let's say you journal about something that you're oh my God, I can't believe I just put that on paper because I was thinking that, we have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of which are cray cray. Like, and we all think that we're like, oh my God, if anybody knew I was thinking that. But I think it's kind of like a way to show people, like, you know what? Like, we're all human. We all experience some of these like hard times. And you just, yeah, it's kind of being vulnerable, right?
I guess, when I think about journaling, I think about like you said earlier, like I worry about what I would put in there or what I would say, but what would I be trying to get out of it? Like, what's the purpose of journaling?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple. So I think one, like how I do it as therapeutic, because when you wake up at like 3 a.m. and your mind is just racing and racing, when you actually get something out on paper, as silly as it seems, you really are getting it out of your mind. You're kind of clearing like the cobwebs, right? And one of the exercises I do when I do some of my workshops is I have everybody take a few minutes and do like a thought dump, kind of like a thought download, right? Picture it as if you were going to rearrange your closet. You take everything out and you look and you're like, okay, what, like in terms of thoughts, like what's serving me and what's not serving me? Like, what are some of these thoughts that I have now that I can see them? And you don't judge yourself for them. That's a huge part of it. Like, because some people will be like, oh my God, like that's a crazy thought that I just wrote down. You don't judge it and you're just like, okay, you know what? Like, now it's time to clean, like put everything back in my closet. What do I want to put back in? Like, what do you want to keep in your brain? And like, what thoughts are going to serve you versus the ones you're like, you know what? Like, no, like that's just a story I tell myself. It's not true and it's not serving me anymore. So I'm going to move on. So that's a huge aspect of journaling.
And how often do you go back and like look at those thoughts? Like, how often do you go back and reevaluate, last week, last month, whatever it might be?
Not often. Sometimes I'll go back. Let's say I'm facing a situation now that I might have faced something similar like a year or two or a couple months ago, or like I had great success. So like I remember when I had like a big weight loss, I was like, what was I thinking during that period of time that was creating the weight loss versus like if I was stuck in that now? So yeah, I do it one for fun sometimes. And then for like literally a reference as like, okay, I created this result in my life at this point. Like, let me go back and see like, what was going on emotionally for me that allowed that to happen.
And you recently put together your own daily journal. Today is going to be great that you use with your clients. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the process that you use with your coaching clients?
Yeah. So, because I always suggest like doing the thought downloads, but like Craig, to your point earlier, like a lot of my clients will be like, I don't know where to start. So what I did is I created this journal through bits and pieces of other journals that I've used, like Mel Robbins, High Five has an awesome journal, and a couple other ones where you actually use science-based approaches each day. So to kind of give you an idea, in my journal, the first step each day is to kind of ground yourself, like do a couple deep breaths, calm your nervous system down, and then just think about things that you're grateful for with your hand on your heart. There's a couple affirmations where you start with, and that just kind of like putting your body and your mind at ease allows for you to actually kind of uncover some of the stuff that wants to come out, right? You can be and it creates more creativity. And it's all about kind of like just setting an intention for that day. Like, what are some big or small things do I want to accomplish today? And then it ends that daily passage, if you will, with how am I going to feel once I've actually completed these things? Like in putting yourself kind of in a future mode to give you more of that, like, I don't know if you want to call it, not like motivation, because motivation comes and goes, but it kind of just gets you set for your day, if you will, of like set an intention.
Yeah. And I think that like when you think about journaling and think about putting those thoughts out on paper, like having a blank piece of paper is kind of daunting. So being able to have those prompts to help you get into it, it must be really helpful.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like some of the notebooks, it's just like, doo-doo-doo. Like, okay, like where do I start? Today's date. Like, yeah. So having prompts, I think, is huge. And then I find, so I have a couple different ones going. I use my own. But then if I feel like I want to kind of talk more, if you will, on paper, then I grab another one that's just like blank pages, which is kind of cool.
Do you find that there are days where you, like you said, you want to write more or less, and or is there like a recommended amount that you feel like you should write every day?
No, and even like, so as much as I love journaling, right? Some mornings just get crazy and I don't get to do it. Maybe I'll do it that night and reflect on my day or set an intention for the next day. And I think even if you just write a couple sentences, like those 3 things, like 3 things I'm grateful for, or, 3 great things that happened today. Like, what can I celebrate? I'm working on another journal, which is a nighttime one. And it's all about what can you celebrate today? Because a lot of times as humans, we think about all the things we didn't do that we wanted to do versus like, let's celebrate all the little and big things that we actually did. So there's no right or wrong in terms of length. It's all what you feel in the moment.
And do you feel like as people are going through the coaching process with you, do you see a sense of turning? Like, do people typically start out like maybe more negative, and then as they go through the process, the way they approach it changes? Or how do you think people evolve with that? Do people always try to start always being positive, or how do you see people?
Yeah, it's funny too. I've had people say to me, they're like, so as a life coach, are you happy all the time? Do you coach people to be happy all the time? I'm like, God, no. I was like, that's not reality, right? And it's actually like our brains are designed to think more negatively than positively. And it's only because it's trying to keep you safe. It's like looking for things that are bad, right? So a lot of times people start off with like a lot of negative thinking and they don't realize it until I kind of show it back to them. Like I'll replay what they just said. And I'm like, well, is that actually true? Or are you just thinking that? And I think people start to become aware of negative thought loops that they get stuck in. And through coaching and through like journaling, you can then be aware of that pattern and stop it from happening, and then kind of just turn it around. And it really is just flipping a switch in your brain.
Yeah. Talk to us actually real quick, and that's a good segue into talking a little bit about what life coaching is, because I think a lot of people hear that phrase, hear life coaching, and they think it's going to be somebody that, fixes their problems for them, tells them what to do. Talk a little bit about, like, as a life coach, like, what are some of those goals that you set with your clients?
Yeah, so I think, and it depends on each person. Some people honestly just want somebody to talk with, like somebody that they don't know, like not on a personal level, like, because like I'll have some people be like, I don't know if I need a life coach or a therapist, but I'm going to start with a life coach first because they're like, I don't want to go to therapy. And everybody's different. Like some people have both, but I think it's more of people are stuck, right? Like they don't have issues per se. I mean, we all have issues, but like people come to me that are just like, something needs to change. Like I am like not in a great relationship with my spouse or like my partner, or like I yell at my kids all the time, or I'm emotionally eating, like stuff like that, where they're like, I just need one accountability. Accountability is huge. Like we always leave a session with homework. And when I say homework, not like scary type of homework, but like just some action steps, right? And I'll have people tell me, and I have my own coach too, for, to keep my own accountability. Like people want to come back that next week or that next like 2 weeks, haven't taken that action, right? So that's a lot of where coaching is a huge part, because it's like people want to come back to me and be like, guess what? I did this, and this. So that's huge. But yeah, it's more of trying to help people. It's funny too, like think about like when you go to the gym and let's say you have a weight loss goal or you want to get more fit, you take like this before picture, right? So in a first coaching session, we kind of take a before picture of all the different aspects of your life, like on a scale from 0 to 10, where are you in your relationship, health and wellness, spirituality? And it's catered to the individual, but it's like, okay, like let's pick one area to focus on. And then the tools that they learn for that particular area kind of flow into all the different areas. So like somebody that might want to, I don't know, stop emotional eating, for instance, like the tools that you learn there to deal with difficult emotions, that's going to flow over into all different aspects of your life. So that's what I love, because I love watching people like transform and like have those like, aha, oh my God, like this is why hasn't been working. And it starts with your thoughts.
How can people find you? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's MBW Living. That is on Instagram, and then on Facebook you can actually look up Michelle Woerdeman, and it's Mind, Balance, and Wellness Living. I have a podcast too, which I'm super excited because you guys are going to be recording with me in a couple weeks, and that is Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. And then my website is mbwliving.com.
And people can find the journal. Today is going to be a great day, daily journal. It's on Amazon.
It is on Amazon. Yes. I love it. It's actually, to send you the link, I would put it in and I'm like, it was the first one that popped up. Like, today's going to be a great day journal. Could just be the history of how many times I've looked it up, but who knows?
Yay. Well, but that's a great place for everybody to get started. So everybody's homework is to get the journal and listen to your podcast as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Yes.
Michelle, thank you so much for being back on the show. I'm sure we'll have you on again. I really appreciate you spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great as always.
Allison, some great information there from Michelle. I really liked, and like I said, I tried to be as open and honest as I could. I really liked the fact that, she had some great tips for just getting started in journaling.
Yeah, some super simple tips, to keeping it easy, baby steps, just write brain dump, write what's in your brain in the morning, let it all out. Try and connect the dots, and and if you can't think of something, grab some prompts. She had those 3 great prompts. What are you grateful for? What do you want to celebrate? So I think that was really good. This just a way to write and clear your head.
Yeah, and I think it's great that she has taken the time and put together this journal, and you can get it on Amazon.com. Go to Amazon.com. You can find Michelle's journal there. And what's really great about it is that it kind of helps walk you through that process. So I had said that, like, one of my fears was I didn't want to have to open a blank page and come up with thoughts out of my head. So, using this journal that Michelle's put together that you can find on Amazon will really kind of help walk you through and just ask those questions that maybe will help you get going.
Yeah, and I like how she talked about her journal includes like those affirmations to say to yourself as well. I didn't realize that I say affirmations, but I have all these like note cards around the house. I like those quotable ones with the sayings on it, and I didn't realize like all my magnets and stuff, and I look at them every day, I'm saying affirmations to myself. So I thought that was real insightful. And Michelle has a podcast herself. I know we talked about it a little while ago, Boot Camp for Your Mind. So if you're interested in exploring more of these topics, that's a great podcast to pop into and see what she's talking about this week.
Yeah, and we're going to be on it in a couple of weeks. So
very exciting.
Make sure you check that out. Also, check out our free link for free 30 days of Audible. You can go to audibletrial.com/bizmarried. You get a free 30 days of Audible. You can download a ton of books there. There's a bunch of stuff to listen to. I mean, we've talked about Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. That was a great one for us to start, working better on journaling and just getting going in the morning and winning the day. So check that out. But you can get a free 30 days of Audible on us. Just visit audibletrial.com/bizmarried. And Allison, we've got some great people coming up to be on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got an accountant coming up talking about, prepping for the end of the year. We're going to be talking to somebody about insurance. We've got some just wonderful people coming on.
Yeah, so we're excited to finish here season 4 with a bunch of great interviews and a few other things, a few other topics we have in mind we're going to be talking about. So definitely keep listening. Tell all your friends. Listen, like, and subscribe. You can find us online. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram @BizMarried. You can also search for us on Facebook, Married with a Business. And don't forget, check out our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. It's got a bunch of information, a great place to find a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, Allison.
Yeah, it's got some past episodes. It's got links to books that we've recommended. It's got some links to like The Home Chef and some other great resources.
Yeah, so check that out, marriedwithabusiness.net. Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back with another show next week. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.